That moves us to our action agenda. Do I have any motions on items out of executive session?
I make a motion to approve selected employment items shown in Exhibit A for action.
Do I have a second? All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain? Okay. And the motion carries 5-0 with one abstention.
I make a motion to approve the 2025 and 2026 reappointments shown in Exhibit B for action.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I just want to quickly say that I'm going to be voting for the entire package of reappointments, but for the sake of disclosure, I just want to state that my spouse works for the district and is included in that packet. And so my vote is, I'm abstaining. I'm voting for everyone and abstaining for my wife's.
Okay. Mr. Satterfield?
I'd like to sort of echo Mr. Scully's sentiments. I'm in favor of the motion and what the superintendent has presented to us, but I would like to, since my daughter works for the district, and in an effort to maintain transparency and at the recommendation of our attorney, I would like to abstain from her vote.
Right. Any further discussion? Right. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstaining? And the motion carries 5 with one abstention.
I make a motion to approve the contractual matter regarding professional development services as shown in Exhibit D, subject to the amendments discussed in executive session.
Do I have a second? All those in favor? All opposed? And the motion carries 6-0. Thank you. That's next. We had a second and final reading approval of bond resolution Exhibit F and fiscal year 2026 capital projects funded through 8% bond issuance Exhibit G. I think we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the second and final reading of bond resolution shown in Exhibit F and FY 2026 capital projects funded through 8% bond issuance shown in Exhibit G.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any? Mr. Banham?
Do we know, last year, probably around this time, there was a similar package passed. Do we have any idea how much was completed off of that? Or are we just kind of building up money for projects?
Everything in last year's package is in the queue. A lot of that, we just did a huge purchase order for a lot of the HVAC systems, but a lot of that will be done over the summer. So a lot of those things are kind of in that pipeline. We're limited to the timing, but I will defer to Alan on the rest of that.
Yes, sir. So there's a lot of items, and like Heather just mentioned, I think about $1.5 million worth of HVAC-related equipment. Not just the equipment, but also the controls. We have some controls throughout some of our facilities that are, I don't know, maybe 30 plus years old. They're extremely old. So we're having to update that portion along with equipment too. So we're kind of at the mercy of the manufacturers. So we're pushing this to get as many replacement units as possible. But also with that, when we're working with either Daikin or Trane or whomever, they're like, hey, we can only get you so many units. It's just taking a while to get those back in.
Okay, and so I think you may have spoke to this at an earlier meeting, but as far as if there's something that wasn't as high priority to maybe address some of the issues that they're having with like coolant and trying to find coolant for some of these units as we're going into these warmer months, if we had something that we needed to cut, I don't know, is that an issue or are we tracking pretty good on all of those? As far as like the units that we have that we're not replacing, the coolant's more expensive to find?
Yeah, so we have some units that are older R22 units, and we know that they're end of life. We need to replace those and move them to some of the newer models with the newer refrigerants. So we're going through that. We hope at maybe a future board meeting, we can actually show you where we've actually reduced our overall age of equipment, and you're seeing it go down. And that's exactly what we want to do, is we want to drive that average age of whatever it is, and we want to go down, because the newer the units, we know we're going to be able to service them a little bit longer and keep the equipment running.
Just following up with his question, have you factored in the cost of changing the refrigerant on these, the whole switch that's about to happen or is happening?
So
within the budget?
with that, because we know we're not able to change, some of the R22 units that we still have, they don't even make parts for these units anymore. That we have some schools that are like, hey, we can't even get parts for them, so we have to move to just newer units. So, as we go through that, we are trying to get the best pricing possible, but we're not able to go change out, a unit that was designed for 22 and put in some of the newer refrigerants.
Do you have any other questions? All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor? All opposed? And the motion carries 6-0. All right, that takes us to Exhibit H, first reading approval on proposed revisions to Board Policy DB annual budget.
Make a motion to approve the first reading of proposed revisions to Board Policy DB annual budget shown in Exhibit H.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any questions? All those in favor? All opposed? All right, and the motion carries 4-2.
I make a motion to approve the first reading of proposed revisions to Board Policy DFAB reserve funds shown in Exhibit I.
Have a second?
Second.
Do you have any questions or discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries 4-2. Next, we have the approval of statement of work for the internal auditing services.
I make a motion to approve the statement of work for internal auditing services shown in Exhibit J.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, do we have some questions or comments? Go ahead, Mr. Satterfield.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Dr. Ross, I know that he sent us an explanation for the changes on the description. Could you share with the rest of the folks that may have questions about that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. One of the things that we are looking at for our internal auditing services is to meet the objective as set forth by our OIG in terms of having an internal auditor. That was a recommendation from his report, and we wanted to do that. We tried to do that with an actual employee on site, advertised multiple times. There's even an organization of internal auditors. We advertised there, did not find it. Increased the salary for this internal control, advertised again, it did not, and so went out for external internal auditing services. In the initial draft, we had, I think there was discussion about policies and procedures and human resources and finance. But the changes are for this person to really look at all departments where fiscal controls are necessary. And working with our attorney, looking at aligning this draft towards board policy DIDIE. which is your internal controls, which is in the finance area. So it's the movement of fiscal assets through any department. My department, student service, all of it, it's not just one. But also, in my talks with Brian Lampkin, talked with him again on Friday, the OIG, it's almost like when, if the police actually arrest, it's the prosecution's office who prosecutes. Those are separated. These are not combined. So you can execute this external, and it would be from this body would have to do it. And you say, I want you to look into Dr. Ross's expenditures. That body would look in. If they find a discrepancy, they would turn it into this body, and then you would execute another arm that does the investigation. That allows due process on all sides. So by having these two separated, one is doing the looking and the finding, the other one is doing the investigation through due process. And that's, having those separated gets us out of some issues that can cause concerns when you merge those together. This is more expansive than the entire district. It's all departments, but it has the checks and balances of an investigatory arm and then the research arm. So that's what you have before you.
Yeah, well, I want to say thank you for going the extra mile with that. We ended up with our previous audit, and of course that was in the news. We sent the results to the Inspector General, and he told us what we were not doing right and what we needed to do better job. So I think it's great that we start out with his approval or having him look over it and making sure that we're going in the right direction. So I appreciate you going the extra mile, Dr. Ross.
Any other questions? Mr. Boehner?
Do we have like just an estimated time of how long the work would take once we've, retained someone?
That's a good question. So in the statement of work, we would essentially put this out and say, this is kind of what we're looking at. I actually spoke with Mr. Lampkin as well, and kind of got an idea of what he thought, the initial look would be. Because this statement of work would have a dollar amount attached to it. We would essentially put this out and say, this is what we're looking for the tasks to really look at, all financial and operational integrity, look at all that. And so he said, I think a cursory would take about 6 months to really kind of look high level and then start digging in. And that would be where we would get direction from the board. Once somebody comes in and looks at kind of all of the operations, where any of the finances are flowing throughout the district, and then as they identify things in a report, then the board can say, okay, now we want you to look at this. And so we would have another statement of work with a dollar amount attached to it and a time frame. So essentially we're asking for small deliverables, trying to make it broad enough to allow them to look, but then as they find things, we can hone in on that with our statement of work.
Okay, so throughout the process, we'll kind of get benchmark reports that we'll be able to
Correct.
act on? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Ms. Barnhart?
Just for clarification purposes, this is going to be one entity that we're hiring or two separate ones?
So right now, you're looking for the internal auditing services of one entity.
Okay. And I do have a document that Ms. Huddle is requesting me to put into the minutes. She couldn't be here tonight, so I would like to submit that for the record. Thank you.
So this would not replace our external auditor that does our financial and our procurement audit. Those will continue. We have to do those every year as requirement by law. So this would be in addition to that. So.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, we have a motion on the floor, so I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor? All opposed? And the motion carries 6-0. Thank you.